Okay, today we are looking at something pretty special. We're actually going behind the scenes to tear down the exact anatomy of a data-driven growth strategy made specifically for an ambitious digital agency called Growth Masterplan. In this explainer, we're unpacking their complete 90-day marketing master plan. This isn't just some high-level theory. This is a tactical blueprint showing exactly how an agency plans to scale its own business.
Because it really makes you wonder, right? How does a growth marketing agency engineer its own success? We constantly see the polished end results of marketing campaigns, but we almost never get to pop the hood and look at the engine while it's actually being built. Well, that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to see how high-level strategy literally transforms into day-to-day measurable execution. So, to break this all down, we'll follow their plan across 5 key areas. First, brand health and positioning. Second, the competitive landscape. Third, content and paid tactics. Fourth, the 3-month execution roadmap. And finally, defining success with KPIs.
All right, starting off with Section 1, Brand Health and Positioning, the starting point.
Now, before you can figure out where you're going, you need a pretty brutal reality check of where you're actually starting from. Listen to this number, 68 out of 100. That is GrowthXI's current brand health score based on their internal audit. I mean, it's not terrible, but for an agency literally selling growth, it definitely exposes some serious vulnerabilities. They've got great creative output and amazing client loyalty, sure, but there are massive gaps in their digital visibility and lead generation infrastructure.
Their audit basically mapped out this paradox they are living in. Their current clients absolutely love them. We're talking an average satisfaction score of 4.1 out of 5. But out there in the wider market, well, their brand recall is sitting at just 34%, and they're only bringing in about 8,200 monthly website visits. So they have this fantastic product, but their organic search visibility is totally underdeveloped, and their digital footprint is, frankly, pretty small. Fixing that exact problem is the whole point of this 90-day blueprint. Moving to Section 2, the competitive landscape, the battleground.
Look, you just can't win market share if you don't know who you're up against. GrowthXA ran a full SWOT analysis, and it turns out they're basically fighting a two-front war. On one side, you've got these massive, full-service enterprise agencies, huge market share, premium pricing. On the flip side, you have these highly specialized, narrow niche players who compete purely on lower price points. So how does GrowthXA position themselves against all that? They're carving out a very specific middle ground. They are positioning themselves as an agile, full-funnel, data-led solution. The idea is to give clients the comprehensive expertise of the big guys, but with the speed and competitive pricing needed to capture that totally underserved mid-market segment.
Which brings us to Section 3, Content and Paid Tactics, the weapons.
So we know the battleground, but what weapons are they actually bringing to the fight? Well, they're running a dual-engine strategy. Let's look at the organic engine first. The goal here isn't just to make noise online. It's to firmly establish GrowthXA as a definitive educational resource. They're dropping in-depth how-to guides and explainer videos on digital marketing best practices. They're running monthly webinars, pushing out a bi-weekly newsletter, and utilizing things like Instagram Reels and LinkedIn polls to actually get conversations going. Plus, they're heavily investing in thought leadership with forward-looking industry trend reports. The whole idea? Build deep, undeniable trust with a prospect long before they ever get on a call with a sales rep.
And then, of course, we have the paid engine, which is fueled by a solid $10,000 monthly budget. And look at how deliberately they're dividing this up. They're putting 39% into Google Ads to capture those high-intent search queries. That is historically their highest ROI channel. Then 33% goes to Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, mostly for broad awareness and some really aggressive conversion-focused retargeting. And the remaining 28%, that goes to LinkedIn ads. They're using LinkedIn as a precision tool to target B2B decision makers by exact job title and company size. It really is this perfectly balanced attack of intent capture, retargeting, and account-based marketing. But the glue tying both the organic and paid engines together is just a relentless, borderline obsessive commitment to data. GrowthX's entire brand personality is analytical. They are totally results first. They track everything, they A/B test everything, from headlines to the tiniest visual tweaks, and they optimize that budget every single month based on cost per lead and return on ad spend. It's a highly agile execution model where the overall strategy is constantly being refined by real-time analytics.
Next up, Section 4, the 3-month execution roadmap, the battle plan.
Because, let's be real, a strategy is only as good as its execution, right? This is where theory meets reality. GrowthXF breaks this 90-day sprint into 3 distinct phases. Month 1 is the foundation. Month 2 shifts into engagement, and month 3 is the big push for conversion and scale. I actually love this structure because it physically stops the team from trying to do everything all at once. Every 30-day block intentionally builds off the momentum of the last.
So in month 1, they are absolutely not trying to scale. They're refining their core messaging, getting those initial campaigns launched, and crucially, they're setting up all their UTM tracking and Google Analytics. They're literally laying the measurement pipes. Then in month 2, they start analyzing that initial data flow. They're A/B testing ad variations, tightening up the audience targeting, and kicking off those monthly webinars we talked about. Finally, by month 3, they actually know what works. That's when they pump more budget into the high ROI campaigns and actively push detailed client case studies to build credibility and actually close deals. It really is a masterclass in phased execution.
And that brings us to our final section, number 5, defining success with KPIs, the ultimate prize. Look, a master plan without hard measurable targets is really just a wish list. GrowthExa is holding themselves accountable with some extremely aggressive numbers. First up is brand awareness. Remember those 8,200 monthly visits they were starting with? Well, the goal here is to rocket that number all the way up to 50,000 monthly website visits. That is a massive leap, and they're relying heavily on that brand new organic content engine and those strategic paid awareness campaigns to get there. But, traffic doesn't mean a whole lot if you're completely overpaying for it. So their second major target is purely about cost efficiency. They are aiming to bring their cost per lead down to exactly $42. By forcing that CPL to stay under the $50 mark, they're making sure their customer acquisition stays highly sustainable, even as they crank up the ad spend in month 3.
And this leads us right to the absolute financial climax of the whole plan. The ultimate validation of all that Google, Meta, and LinkedIn ad spend. GrowthExa is targeting a 285% return on investment for their paid campaigns. It's an incredibly ambitious number for sure, but with their constant data-driven optimization loop, that is the exact metric that proves this growth engine actually works.
When you step back and look at this plan as a whole, the brutal honesty of that initial brand audit, the extreme precision of the paid ad split, the really disciplined 3-month roadmap, and those crazy aggressive KPIs, it perfectly captures their core mission, as they say right in their own strategy docs. GrowthExa is a performance-driven digital marketing brand built for ambitious businesses. They're basically drinking their own champagne here, using that mix of creative strategy and pure analytical precision to scale their own brand.
And honestly, that leaves us with something pretty important to think about regarding our own projects and our own businesses. When you see how meticulously GrowthExa mapped out these 90 days, you kind of have to ask yourself, is your brand's growth currently built on hope and random acts of marketing, or is it engineered with a structured, data-driven master plan? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you in the next one.